right, so sometimes I find myself recording and not really knowing why, but anyways, I think we left off, I'm looking at the screen right here, it was where I was stacking 4 partials up to the northeast, and then I took 2 cheap cars back down to Texas. And so we're picking it up right now where I am loading right here. Let me scroll over, goodness gracious. Oh, that's right, okay, so those 2 cars were actually going to, it was going all the way down to like Corpus Christi, which Corpus Christi is basically like the Mexican border. It was somewhere right over there. And I believe I unloaded that Thursday. And so I was really panicking on Thursday when I was looking for a load, right? And so I ended up booking this AC unit for $2,000 going up to Minneapolis, which they told me, right, to my understanding, they told me it was gonna be like a 28-footer and it was paying like $1.20 a mile. It was $2,000 to all the way to Minneapolis, but it was coming from Laredo. So I had a deadhead from Corpus Christi to Laredo. And so it was $2,000 going all the way to Minneapolis. And I was thrilled to at least have something because I was terrified of sitting the weekend, right? And so this AC unit, when I was loading it, it was this new guy on the forklift and he unloaded it and offloaded it, or like he had to move it around 3 or 4 times. It was just absolutely ridiculous how bad of a forklift driver he was. But eventually we got it up there and then I was able to throw some straps on it and that's it. But here's the problem, right? So now I'm looking for a partial, or I realized that it's a little smaller than what they said. It's not 28 feet, it was actually only like 15. And I was thrilled, I'm like, this is great. So I started looking for a partial, but obviously it's now the weekend. I think I only got loaded, or the broker made an appointment for me at 2 p.m. and I sat there for over an hour. And so now I'm coming from Laredo, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm looking for a vehicle, right? And so I was like, oh man, Friday, it's probably not gonna work out, and sure enough it didn't, right? So I drove my hours, whatever, but the next morning I started looking on Central Dispatch again, and this is where sometimes Central Dispatch does come in. I know a lot of freight guys don't even have access to the car load board, but really give it a shot sometimes. It's free money that you're missing out on essentially. So basically, right, what happens is I was looking and looking and looking, and I wanted a car that was easy to get on, easy to get off, and the more important thing is because it's already Saturday, my week is already over. So what that means for cars is I don't want it then to ruin my next week. And so I definitely didn't want something that was gonna be, 300 miles away from Minneapolis where I was delivering. And so I ended up finding this car, this Honda Civic. First of all, it was posted as a 1979, not a 2013 or 15 or 17 or whatever the Civic is. And I found this car, and the other problem was, it was, I always look for COD cars because I don't know about car brokers, and I always look for like very low miles on the receiving, right, on the delivery. And so I couldn't find anything that would really work out. And because I have my car trailer, the ramps are too short, I was really looking for like some kind of crossover or something. And I just couldn't find anything. From cars from Texas outbound, forget about it. Cars from outbound, like coming inbound to Texas, plenty of those, right? A lot of people are moving to the middle parts of the country, not north. So I ended up finding this Honda Civic, and it doesn't run and drive. The guy said he just bought it 2 weeks ago and the engine blew up on it. So they were sending it back to the dealer in Minnesota. But that's okay. I had to get a rollback, and so the rollback was $80, I believe, and the car was paying $950. So $950 basically minus 100, so call it $850. So plus the $2,000 AC unit, really, really not bad. Basically $2,800 to go from Laredo minus the deadhead to Laredo to Wichita Falls to Minneapolis, and I think the delivery somewhere was up there as well. It was like 11 miles away, so really not that far for the car. So it worked out, right? And that was a nice good run over the weekend. Super easy, nothing too crazy. But on the delivery, guys, so you can see I dropped the car first. What happened was this thing was low, right? I know it's a Civic, it's obviously low, and I know my ramps are short. So then what I did is I scoped out, I pulled into the dealership lot, and I saw that when you pull in, there's this, where the road is, there's a little, like, when you go into the driveway, it's a kind of a decent sized bump where the water can drain, right? And I'm like, I'll unstrap the car, get it prepped, get it ready. And that's what I did. And then as soon as I saw there was no traffic, this is like 7, 8 in the morning roughly before all the rush hour starts. As soon as I saw there's no cars, I backed my trailer axles into that little dip And sure enough, I just backed it up because don't forget, it doesn't run and drive. And so I just kind of pushed it off and rolled it right back into the street. No cars were coming. And then I started pushing it and I couldn't push it. And that guy jumped in and helped me push. Some guy was walking by and he just helped me push it. I thought I got stronger or something like that. I didn't recognize it then. And so I just was pushing. I'm like, man, this car is really easy to push. Sure enough, the guy was helping me. So I told him thank you. But then I pushed the car in, parked it, or just pulled up the e-brake real quick and jumped in my truck and pulled forward because I didn't want to be in the street any longer. So I delivered the car first, then I showed up to the job site right here for this new AC unit. I believe it was a retirement home or something like that, somewhere in Minneapolis, and I delivered the AC unit, no problem. Now this right here, first of all, shout out to my Instagram. If you want to go follow me on Instagram, you can. All of this stuff happens weeks before I even make it for my video. And this is actually what I realized, that when I go out on the road, I just stop uploading. Like being on the road is so busy and so frantic. There's so much stuff going on that I just stop uploading. So I don't like that happens. But this footage is now essentially, like, I don't know, over a month old. But anyways, we're here. So I unloaded this AC, this air conditioning or HVAC unit. And what happened was they had it's a construction site. They had very few areas to turn around. And so what I ended up doing is turning around in this area. I did a really sharp U-turn. The U-turn was so sharp that my trailer started to go backwards, right? So when you turn your truck this much, that you're turning it like this, and you're actually pulling your trailer backwards to straighten out. Does that make sense? So your truck, this is the nose of your truck, right? And this is the hitch of the trailer. And you're at such an angle to turn, like, so you go around like this, and you're such an angle that your trailer is backing up, and then you're dragging it this way to straighten out and exit. And that's what I did. And I think this right here is what caused my two tires, or my two rims, to start leaking air and blow out, right? Can you hear that? And it looks soap and water from the bathroom. Oh, look at that. Come on, really? The rim is leaking? All right, so I have a blowout right here. It's not good. I knew the 16-inch tires, they just don't last long. And this is another reason why you don't buy garbage trailers, because I think if you're gonna give me an 8,000-pound axle, please give me a 17.5-inch wheel. Like, this is absolutely frustrating. Like, come on. You know, so on my big techs, when I got those 8,000-pound axles, it came with the 17.5s. Sure, they were the 215 and not the 235s, which I would have preferred, but still, it's a 17.5 nonetheless. These garbage 16-inch tires just do not last. They really do not. And you can tell clearly they're cutting corners. You can clearly tell just to reduce the price. Now you might be like, Alex, just put your spare on. Here's the problem. I already used the spare before, and what happened was I noticed that my tire was leaking from the valve stem, because 16-inch valve stems are a joke as well. And so now I'm sitting here on the off ramp with no spare, with no way to change a tire, and I think I'm just gonna have to roll to there's a Truckstop over here or something like that, and what I'm gonna have to do is deflate that tire, take this valve stem, hopefully it's better, or tighten up that one, or see where it's leaking from. It might be leaking from the rim, which then that would be really sucky. Okay, so you see the Loves guy just left. He basically took off that tire and put on this rim and pumped it up, but he had to actually go. And so once we started inflating it, I'm like, wait, hold on, what? Look at that. I know, gross, I just spit, but still. Great. Because the thin steel rims on 16-inch wheels, they suck. And I posted on my Instagram, that's why I said shout out to Instagram, because I posted on my Instagram two 16-inch tires went bad. So that sucks, it does, but this is why you don't do 16-inch tires. You want to do 17.5s, and I do have those ordered for this trailer. So basically, I unloaded the AC unit. Then what happened was I picked up a partial. Usually I don't, but I picked up a partial going to New York. Now, I don't like going to New York, especially if it's for cheap. And I was in Minnesota, and I was like, man, I could do a little hop and then a run over the weekend, or I could just sit in Minnesota and do another run over the weekend. And I chose to do a little hop. So I went from Minnesota to like New Jersey. The load was going Minnesota to Long Island, which is Yeah, I was going to PG&E, right? But I didn't record that, so I just loaded the fiberglass. I posted a picture on Instagram. So I just loaded up the fiberglass, and then I was again looking for something that I could get along the way. And goodness gracious, freight sucks right now. And so I ended up getting this Hummer, right? Here it is. A sweet old Hummer. He said the keys are in it. He said the title is in the center. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, there's the title. Okay. Oh, okay, look at that right in there. Okay. And the Hummer was actually kind of cool. It was going to New Jersey. I'm like, oh, that's even better, because at least in New Jersey I won't be in the city, right? And so I unload in New Jersey, but I don't have any footage of that. I only have, it's funny how I have no loading footage of the fiberglass, but no unloading footage of the Hummer. But basically, the problem with the Hummer was it's a little wider, and you can actually see that I drove right over the drive over ramps. So those are nice to have. And the fiberglass was going to PG&E on Long Island, like I said, and that took me forever to get unloaded there. A bunch of people didn't know what they were doing, so I ended up losing a bunch of time there. And from there, I went to a direct customer in Pennsylvania, more or less actually a direct broker, to be correct. And the broker loaded me up going back to Texas. Now that Texas load, what happened was it was teamwork makes the dream work. Am I right? So I actually picked up the Texas load. And from there, I picked up the Texas load, drove it all the way down, and then my driver and I, we swapped trailers. And I actually took his trailer, and that's why in my Instagram I was pulling around my 16GN, and yeah, it's the middle of the day now, so the kids are up and everything. So, but anyway, so I took his 16GN, the torsion one. What a nice trailer compared to the low trail, but it's just the torsion ride's so much nicer. So, but then I went and picked up a direct customer load. A customer reached out from the YouTube channel. They were watching it. So that's where we're going to pick up the vlog in the next video. So comment below down what you guys are up to speed now. That's all the loads I've hauled in the last month or so. So comment below what are your thoughts. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.